Jamal Bryant just apologized for saying the Target boycott was over.
When you have influence, speaking before fact-checking does have real consequences.
He was like, oh, I look really dumb, and now I got to do crisis management.
His credibility is taking a bit of a hit with his other things.
He was a sack chaser in all shape, way, and form of sacks.
When people show you who they are, it's up to you to kind of see them for real, for real. I was not surprised.
Megan Good, who expressed her desire to now have children.
Something about it doesn't really sit in my spirit.
If she is in a healthy enough position, well, then I support her too.
She's not giving anybody any advice. I hope it works out for her.
I think that when we talk about motherhood, she's just reclaiming her time.
You can delay decisions, but you can't delay consequences.
Grant Cardone says, don't get married. Focus on your bag.
Marriage works best when a man builds his foundation first.
A lot of these men need time to grow because clearly a lot of these men did not make the right decision.
I don't think age alone should determine if someone's ready for marriage or not.
You're more likely to become a millionaire the earlier you get married, not later.
You're not afraid to make mistakes. At least you stood on something. At least you made a commitment. Welcome to yet another episode of the BLC Pod. Yes. It's Nic Nice in the place to be, and I got all my people with me, and a special guest. Lasana's in the building. You already know. I got to work on it. I know. I got some work to do. But yeah, we're super excited to have our girl. We've known Shorty for like about 3 of them. You know what I'm saying? We go way back. So super excited to have her. But before we get into that, this episode is brought to you in part by Podding Made Easy. You know, a lot of the folks out there be wanting to get their pod on, and I am telling you, we make it easy to do so. Look at all of us. Look at how fly we look out here getting our pod on, and now we can help you get your pod too. Get that launch kit, man. Stop playing. You know what I'm saying? And start podding, right? And a matter of fact, all the people out there who done like, subscribe, followed, and all of that good stuff, we appreciate you. And last but certainly not least, we got the merch shop. SNM and Jay got the merch on, and I missed it last week because I said she didn't, but she did. SNM holding us down with the merch. You can too at the blcstore.com. But let's get back to having our people with us, starting with my good sis. You already know who it is, my partner them. Give it up for SNM Jones is in the building.
I'm super excited to be in the building. I gotta say, I'm chilling. I'm chilling like a villain, as they say, but I also like to say I'm chilling like the so-called women that E.J. Johnson. If you guys are familiar with him, that's Irvin Jr., aka Magic Johnson's son, who apparently claims he's in competition with a whole bunch of women, i.e. they're no competition. I just want to go on record, sir. No one's competing with your 6'9", 14-size foot wearing ass. So please, sir, please recognize that just because you put a dress on, there's no competition there. There's still none. So, but do you. I'm happy for you.
I mean, you know, that's why I fuck with S&M, because I don't know exactly how tall she is, but who wants to smoke with EJ? The nigga's 6'9". S&M said, fuck that shit. Okay.
I was offended.
I got your back. It might take both of us just to have a fighting chance here, but I want you to know I got your back, S&M. You know what I'm saying? Speaking of having my back, this brother right here literally had my back when I said I do. You know what I'm saying? This brother here, I've known for several decades. You already know who it is. You know what I'm saying? You already know what he's about. You know what I'm saying? It's Just Jay, Mr. Goodwins himself is in the building.
Up my people, man. Listen, best part of our week, always. But y'all know me, it's Just Jay. I'm not going to go into a whole lot. I really would talk about Ray J, but I just want y'all to say a prayer. I need everybody to say a prayer for Brother Ray J. He's crashing out right now. I understand that he did come out of the closet something a while ago. And if he didn't, then he wouldn't even need to, because straight men do not threaten other men with venereal diseases. It's just not something that we do out here, in case anybody was wondering. That's a shame. Flag on the play. Y'all pray for dear brother Ray J. But anyway, I'm not here to sell dreams or feel outraged. You know what I'm saying? That's his job. You know what I'm saying? That's something Ray J would say. I am the pragmatic problem child. And tonight, we just unpacking realities, man. No judgments, just opinions. You know what I'm saying? And letting you see it from the side. Let's get it. I'm ready.
Yes, Jay said he's ready. You know who I know is ready? This guy right here that I'm about to introduce. He's not only an expert, but he's also Delvin. He's Delvin The Expert. My brother be out here crunching them numbers. You know what I'm saying? Leading them on the red pill trail. You know what I'm saying? Quasi. You know what I'm saying? Depends on when you catch him. You know what I'm saying? He's a Terminator because he got the glasses on. You already see what time it is. You know, give it up from my good brother, Delvin The Expert is in the building.
Yeah, boy.
Good to be back. Good to be back. I had to take some time off to go on a secret mission to the Houston Rodeo. As you all know, we are in the news for some rather infamous cheek outage. And it got so egregious, it was so bad that they didn't wait till next year's rodeo to change the dress code. They did it right now. So families are happy. I guess the booty cheek girls are not happy, so it's a big old mess down here in H-Town. But you know what? My BLC Pod people were not out at the rodeo fighting and causing trouble and mayhem. So shout out to you guys. You guys, once again, the real MVP for not being caught in the foolishness.
Yeah, for real. I heard there was a lot of foolishness out there in Houston. You know, I heard there was like spring break out there. Is that right?
That too, yeah.
What the fuck are they doing spring break in Houston? There's no water there.
Nobody told. There's no beach. The beach.
The fuck?
I didn't get the memo.
Take your poor asses down to like Panama City or some shit, man. The fuck y'all doing in Houston? I mean, I guess there's booty meat there. But anyways, this is a tough transition.
That was my fault. I'm sorry.
Because guess what? Miami broke up with spring break. Miami said, we don't want it. Y'all can take it. So I guess they had to find some other places, and Houston was the spot.
Thank you for that transition, because I was still stuck on booty meat. And I was like, is it just me, Jay? But this girl here, this is why she is who she is and does what she does. I've known Shorty for, like I said, several decades. I don't want to make it seem like, oh, but what's important is the bonds that you build with people over time, how you gotten the chance to see them grow and mature and be out here in the world dominating. You know what I'm saying? She's not only a marketer or marketress. I don't know if there's like a, but you get what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? She's out here running her businesses, helping other women run businesses, talking relationships, commentating. Like I said, man, it's our pleasure to have this woman right here, Lasana Smith. Lasana Online, or at Lasana Online is in the building.
First of all, thank you so much, guys, for having me here. You know, we walk by faith and not by sight. So I am the founder and CEO of Garoy Media. Garoy is a boutique advertising agency. I'm also the author of Get a Ring on It, 10 Secrets to Becoming Wife Material. You can find it on Amazon. And I am the partner of the 30-Day Guided Love Journey. So I am definitely here to talk about love and relationships, because that's definitely one of my favorite, topics to discuss as well. So let's get into it.
Yes. Listen. I am so excited to have you here and hear your takes. I feel like we'd be on the same side sometimes, and maybe on the other side. A couple of quick things for me that really caught my eye. First of all, Tia Mowry. I mean, shout out to her. She said she had found love. And I'm so excited for her, for real, right?
No. But wait, Nick, not only did she find love, did you see her eye? She did a whole thing with her eye and her tongue. Like she found more than love.
Okay, so I guess we gotta do this early in the show, right? Because I mean, I'm just trying to get my shit off real quick, and you just go. Yeah, of course. Are we doing that early in the show? Because if that's what we're doing early in the show, it can just So let me finish, right, and then we can get into the conversation. Because I had like a whole presentation, right? Okay, cool. So Tia Mowry, like I was saying before, right, found love, and it wasn't just me, because with her breakup, I'm like curious as to who her new dude is, right? Is it just me, right? Because like if she upgrades, everybody got to shut the fuck up, right? Like, what are we going to say? Like, I feel like low key it might validate her decision to leave her old nigga to upgrade, right? Am I off? Like, I feel like her reveal is going to be important, which is probably why she's still thinking about it, because she says she's in love, but she wouldn't tell us who. So I am on the edge of my seat to see who this new nigga is. Speaking of reveals, Ava DuVernay recently revealed to her nigga after, not revealing him. They've been together for a long time, and he finally got a chance. They asked her, hey, Ava, what are you most proud of? And she's like, I'm proud of my new dude, or my dude, right? And I'm like, oh, he must have said something to her. All the times he was at events and she would say shit about this nigga, and like this one at the Oscars, no doubt. Oh yeah, they had some conversations. And last but not least, I want to give my good brother ASAP Rocky a shout out because he has some good advice, you know what I'm saying, in terms of people, spinning the block. And I'm going to tell you why. Because some of y'all ladies out there don't really have a future. In terms of if you don't have a lot of guys on the horizon, it would only make sense to go back through the files and see maybe you made a mistake. Maybe there was a guy that was right for you. I'm willing to bet in the past files you might have a more success at love than the future files. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to ASAP Rocky out there telling y'all there's nothing wrong with spinning the block. You might actually find love there. Okay. And now I get to land. That's what we talking about.
So it's actually pretty funny that you mentioned all these particular topics because you were right on target with your assessment, just like Jamal Bryant may not have been targeted with his assessment to call the boycott off. So if you haven't had an opportunity, check out this video where Jamal Bryant go ahead and apologize for stating that the boycott was over, and that would be the Target for us Boo J people who decided not to go to Target.
I made assumptions that were not true. And I wanted to apologize to you for being a leader that was out of touch with what it is that the community wanted and sensed what it is that the community were demanding. It's much greater than those four, and I've heard you, overwhelmingly so.
All right. So as you can see, Jamal Bryant just apologized for saying the Target boycott was over, but by then the damage was done. His call confused the public. It triggered mad backlash, to include from me, and left people asking questions like who's really in charge and how dare he go ahead and call this boycott off and who gave him the right to do so. So here's my question to you guys. Did he hijack this movement and was he right to speak on it? And what are you guys' thoughts about his apology as well as him being involved in this period?
Don't get shy now.
Listen, I feel like everybody's gonna come for Pastor Bryant, and I would like to shoot him some bail. So I was hoping for people to get their shots in on him before I told y'all to hold off. But I'll tell you to hold off, and I'll tell you why before you even get started. And maybe it'll temper your answers, okay? Because influence, okay, I will accept influence without responsibility is reckless, okay? It's amplified recklessness when you get on social media and you talk. I understand. Was he out of pocket? Yes. Should he have consulted some people? Yes. I'm not going to dispute the facts that say the man spoke out of turn. I won't dispute that because he won't dispute that. He apologized, right? So when he took us down the boycott that he didn't initiate, that was wrong, but he retracted it. He realized he had spoken out of turn, that black people were not backing his retraction, right? And he said, hey, y'all, I made a mistake. And when you have influence, speaking before fact-checking does have real consequences. So he owed black people, he owed everybody in the movement, whatever movement there was, an apology. I agree with that. And in that apology, he showed humility. And that is leadership, okay? Leadership is being able to say, hey, y'all, I got it wrong. I'm going to do better. How hard is it for parents to even tell their children that they got it wrong and they're going to do better? But that's leadership. So the bigger the platform, the bigger the accountability. But I will still give him some bail because one of my favorite leaders of all time, Malcolm X, had a very big change of heart after he went to Mecca. His message changed, his vision changed, and he was man enough to come back and say that. So in the spirit and the line of great black leaders, which I believe Pastor Bryant aspires to be, I acknowledge this point in his journey, and I hope that he goes on to better things. There, go ahead, attack him.
That's very involved. And I appreciate that thought process, but it's giving he collected a check. And when it came out after he collected the check and embarrassed himself in front of all of Black America, he was like, oh, I look really dumb. And now I got to do crisis management and apologize for this. That's what it's giving to me. It feels icky. He feels shady. And also, Target did not even concede with any of the demands that was asked of them when this strike started. So for him to come out of nowhere and say all of a sudden, I'm okay with doing this and ending this strike, I'm confused as to who he met with, besides Target officials, obviously, to come up with this conclusion. Because I never heard him talk about any of the other leaders in the movement that agreed with him. He wasn't backed by anyone.
Because he didn't talk to anyone. Go ahead, Delvin.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I did some digging, and apparently, his initial point was, of course, speaking with the Target official, was there were like 4 big demands, and they met 3 of them, so that's why he came out and did his retraction. I think the big one was not investing in Black banks. Another point was the DEI reversal. Investing in HBCUs. So Target was like, hey, look, we did something on some of these. So that played into why he came out. But honestly, I didn't know he was a spokesperson in the leadership of the particular boycott. So if he launched himself and made himself a part of it, I think that's, you might have overstepped your boundary. But Jay did make a good point. He's kind of already got a target on his back for a lot of other stuff. So, the downside is anything he kind of says, right or wrong, people are going to go at it with a side eye from the beginning. Like, I don't know, man, I got to dig into this. So, yeah, he's got kind of, his credibility is taking a bit of a hit with his other things, but the whole Target thing, he should have circled the wagon and say, "Hey, are we ending this?" I think that's a big issue. He should have unilaterally ended it.
I mean, I feel like you guys really did a good job of just laying out how he used his celebrity to hijack a movement that he wasn't really a part of or started, and only co-opted when it benefited him in terms of getting a check from Target. Which makes him feel very grifter. It feels yucky. I liked how you guys really broke that down. But, it reminds me of the whole dress thing. I'm sorry to take it back there because, people might have thought that my response to him was a bit much because it was only a dress. But when people show you who they are, it's up to you to kind of see them for real, for real. I was not surprised when I saw this. An opportunist in the worst way, let's be honest, right? A clout chaser, you know what I mean? Someone who's trying to build a profile, you know what I mean? Almost at any cost at a certain, you know what I mean? So I already see, Jamal. I'm not even gonna call him pastor. I'm gonna be like, Jamal, Latika. But sorry, is that Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? I know, apparently, Pastor Jamal Bryant does. Look at that. I did say the whole thing, but my point is this is why it's very difficult to take some of our people seriously. You know what I'm saying? Because it's it wasn't necessary. It was out of nowhere. It was self, for him, obviously, to benefit. Did nobody tell him, sir, this is going to look away? Do you have no advisors? Did your wife in a better dress not tell you, hey, honey, maybe you should do this? Right? No, because she won the dress. Of course she did. Right? She going to go along and get along. I'm sorry. Because I know if it was me, my wife would be like, hey, Nick, is that what we doing? You know what I'm saying? Who's in your inner circle, my guy? It puts everybody in question, including his morality. I hope the check was big enough. You know what I'm saying? You feel me? Now you really got a target on your back. But go ahead.
Well, I think that actually begs the question in regards to does he represent Black leadership, right? Does he actually represent?
His application has been rejected unilaterally. the black community has spoken clearly. He about to go to the same boat as Jack Harlow right now. It's going to be
right. Yeah, I mean, because if something goes down, in the, I don't know, man, the people over here are acting crazy. We got this social thing going on. Or Black people saying, you know what? We need to see what Jamal Bryant thinks.
No, he's going to have to reapply for his Black leader card. He's definitely got to reapply. He's going to have to, you know what I'm saying? We don't believe you. You need more people. Yeah, it's just, that's what it is.
100%.
So I actually agree with that. And Jay, I was going to shoot him some bail too, right? I was like, you know what? He is a pastor. I said it that way for a reason. But I had a problem with this because while I understand why he jumped in on it, because he's a pastor. And so he felt like he had to say something, but it's literally right after they started, he did this 40-day fast. So a 40-day fast is supposed to be over after Lent is over, right? So as you know, the boycott has been going on for almost, I would like to say almost a year, damn near. And so it's like, well, how can you jump in on something that you yourself was only supposed to be a 40-day fast per your own guidelines? So shouldn't it have ended during Lent of last year, if that's what we were doing? And so who are you to now say it's ended a full year later after it initially started? Like, who are you to say that? Now, what I will say is he probably thought, well, because I'm a pastor of a prominent church, it's my job, because if I stay silent while also co-opting, if I stay silent, then I'm complicit. Now, as we know, he's a flamboyant type of person. You know, as a matter of fact, I'm waiting for Drewski to do a new skit just on him alone, because he does have a couple faux pas, you know what I'm saying? And so I'm looking forward to that. With that being said, I think there's something to say about influence, right? So yes, he had influence. Yes, he used his platform to take a stance. Yes, he somewhat provided direction. The problem was it wasn't his direction to provide. The direction was already out there. So the audacity for him to come in and state that, okay, this is over with. And his apology run, it was false to me. He was basically a bag chaser. He was a sack chaser in all shape, way, and form of sacks. And so,
not always shape and form. So that's what you implying here, sis. Wow. You took a
Can we
different
get a
turn on
pause?
this one.
Can we get a pause for the pastor?
All the sacks is crazy.
Right?
That's how he came off to me. He came off as a sack chaser. And it makes me wonder what else he's willing to chase to get the clout that he wanted, because he tried to co-op something. So, you know, he might be sitting in that room with EJ Johnson over there saying, you know what? I know you say you want to go after straight men. Here I am. I don't know. Let me not put that out there because I don't want no smoke from everybody, especially his parishioners. So this decision to call for end, I appreciate his apology. I think the apology is bullshit because at the end of the day, he already got the check, and Target probably was like, yo, run me my money back because you didn't get what we thought we was going to get by investing in you. And so therefore, run me that money back. And I'm going to end with this. Jamal, thank you. Thank you for showing what it looks like not to interact with the community and understand, aka read the goddamn room. Thank you, sir. We now know what not to do in a Black movement that was triggered by Black women. So please, sir, I appreciate you and your humility that you supposedly said in this apology. Thank you, sir.
Quick question, SNM. Does it make you look at the whole dress thing differently now or no?
Okay, I ain't gonna lie. I still love the dress.
That's fine. But I'm talking about his role in the dress gate.
Well, so after you guys talked about the entire, you know, he didn't provide his wife with covering, and as far as that protection, then I can see where you guys were speaking in regards to that. Like if he knew that this will, but it kind of just cosigns that he knew exactly why he wanted her to wear the dress. It got him the attention because at the end of the day, he's an attention seeker, aka a sack chaser.
Thank you. Go ahead, Jay.
Maybe he gave up the boycott for Lent. Anybody think about that? It's possible. I know it's a stretch.
I like that idea because we are in Lent right now.
We are in Lent.
Something to that.
Okay. I mean, listen. First of all, I do want to give him credit, right, for being accountable, like Jay said. You know what I'm saying? Like he was like, he took accountability. He should have for that dress too. But okay, that's cool.
That's a fact.
You know what I mean? You know, like, hey, you know what? I was not covered because he doubled down. You know what I mean? But in this case, he decided to apologize. So we'll give him a little bit of credit for that. That accountability seems to be more than this young lady in this next story. who was sitting there boohoo crying about how woe is me life. I mean, she was breaking down. I mean, losing herself on a clip that we all saw on social media, talking about how social media, oh my God, like nobody doesn't love for real. I mean, honestly, let me back up. The clip was kind of a little shady a little bit because the clip was doing one thing, then the captions was doing all the work. In the captions, it was talking about how, I gotta be honest, I went back and looked at it, I'm like, she got broken up with. But in the captions, she was talking about, it was talking about how social media is just completely changing the game. You know what I'm saying? And affecting people immensely in regards to just how they're able to couple, whether they can come together with each other. But I'll be honest, when I thought it was the young lady who was sitting there boohoo crying, it made me think about how weak young people seem to be in 20. I didn't really want to be this guy, but like she was like, oh my God. And it's like, but at the same time, they grew up in social media. So what are your thoughts though, I think, in terms of how social media is really impacting these young people for real, and whether or not, you know, there's something that they need to do or look at things a little differently in order to figure out their next steps. Because Shorty was having a meltdown in the car. I wanted to reach out and hug her for real. But I feel like when we hear about young people and being lonely and all that, there may be a there, right? So what are y'all thoughts?
So for me personally, I was sympathetic to her, like, aw, that's so bad, so sad. I'm so sorry to hear this. And the reason why, though, is because I do agree that there's something about social media or this. And I think she also mentioned the dating apps as well, and how the dating apps were making her feel, I guess, like worthless and so forth. And so I think there's something to that story of how this generation weak as fuck. Because why? You know, first of all, why are you on your phone recording this? Which makes me wonder, like, is this a genuine mental breakdown? But then I came to a conclusion that, well, yes, it could be, because that generation records everything. They could be getting their ass beat. Let me record my ass getting beat, you know, or whatever. So I think that for her and for women who may be in this position, I don't think they recognize that time has changed. And because time has changed, there's somewhat of a failure to adapt. Now, I know normally I'm very pro-woman on this, but I'm going to have to be honest. The game has changed. There's lots of options out there. Social media didn't necessarily create these unrealistic standards out of nowhere. It just is. There's so many options and they're so viable that her just being her, as in she may think I'm that one, I'm that girl, and she's finding out through the dating apps that folks are just swiping right, or is it swiping left? I don't know, because I'm gonna be honest, I'm not even on dating apps. So you let me know if it's a swipe right or swipe left, whatever the case, she's being rejected and she's feeling that rejected. So I have some sympathy for the situation that she's currently in. And this emotional burnout that she's experiencing is because of loss of connectivity. And that's what I think in general is lacking, especially after COVID and during COVID, was that there was a loss of connectivity, loss of human touch, loss of, hey, let me go touch grass and meet somebody. Let me go to the grocery store and maybe I'll meet somebody, or let me just be outside at a park or whatever. Let me just be outside, because they rely so heavily on social media. They rely so heavily on these dating apps, and the dating apps is only about the algorithms and what's going to keep you coming back to the dating app. So if it's like a game on the dating app, then of course you're going to constantly be rejected, because they literally earn money through your rejection. They don't want you to find love. And I think that's something that she should have walked away with, is that, hey, it's not just social media, ma'am, it's also you. Like, maybe you need to go touch grass. Maybe you need to go breathe air. Maybe you need to reassess some of the things that are going on in your life that you feel like you have to rely just on social media and these dating apps to get what you need versus that real life interaction.
I agree with a lot, pretty much everything that S&M said. Particularly what keyed in was the point about the absence of connectivity. And I thought about what Nic said when he was when he was mentioning the story, you know, it was the situation about the issue of accountability. And I think there are two things that are happening there, and I want to separate them both and then bring them back together, right? So the first thing that's happening is there's a problem in the market, right? There's a problem in the market because dating has become very classified. Everybody's dating based upon a criteria, right? You know, you got to have this height. Everyone's dating by the numbers, right? So that's part of it. And so they don't really leave room for that connectivity on another level, that je ne sais quoi, as they say, that intangible thing, right? And the other part of that is what we are looking for when we are measuring the categories, right? There's a qualifying data, right? What categories we're looking for. The market of men is shaped by the taste of women. So if we want better men, ladies, if you want better men, men need clearer signals of what a better man looks like. You've been telling him it's all about his pocket, so he developed no character. Over time, men adapt to what women reward, right? When it was all about making a better life for yourself and you had to do it through the advancement of your mind, the nerd was in. When people got bored with the nerd and they wanted excitement, the bad boy came in. And then there's all these different phases, right? So whether it's ambition, excitement, or style, men adapt to what women reward. If women signal superficial trends, you're going to get superficial outcomes. If it's character you want, then you need to demand character and not settle for less. You will get better men. My principle that I'm saying is this. The dating pool is not just about supply. Y'all complain about supply, you complain about the apps. The problem is how you are entering the market and how you are valuing things in this dating market. So it's also about the standards that we reinforce.
Yeah, sis crashed out bad. And unlike a lot of people, she did post her L. So as painful as this was to watch and as much love as she needs, shout out to her. But this kind of goes on to another, thing I've been seeing about people just saying, you know what, they're figuring out the dating apps are BS. It's like the clearance bin of people. So we're just going to go back to meeting in person and touching grass. Because a lot of times you end up avoiding people, and she probably is no exception to this. You end up avoiding a lot of people that are right in your face because your phone is right in your face instead of looking around seeing who's really checking for you in real life. And to the point you brought up earlier, there is all kinds of algorithm shenanigans and filters that you can put on your profile, and you can weed out people who may have otherwise been a good choice. And this overabundance of choice, and it's called the paradox of choice, I think it makes it hard for people, and she's also probably no exception to this, to make compromises, to say, you know what? In real life, nobody's going to check all your boxes. Now, you can have all your boxes checked on the apps and hope it comes up, but they still might not be a right fit for you. They still may break your heart. They still might be an a-hole. And having all these boxes you can check to filter people out, it makes it harder for you to say, you know what, let me look in the mirror and see what's going on with me. Maybe I'm the problem. Maybe nobody's, wanting to be with me because I got some things I need to work on. Well, instead of working on me, I can just go and change the boxes I'm checking and weed out more people and kind of jiggle with that and see how that goes. And you ended up right back where this lady was. So hopefully people will get over the paradox of choice and realize more options aren't better options. I think having infinite choices is really damaging people. And this lady really personified it. And I hope she finds what she's looking for. But that's what I took from it. That's my take, man.
I have so much empathy for this lady. And as a woman who is a single woman who is out here dating in these streets, I really resonated with some of her concerns. And I think it's even harder for her generation because she's a young woman. She's either a young millennial or a Gen Z. And Gen Z, their social skills, these were pandemic babies. Their social skills didn't develop like older millennials and Gen X and above did. These young men these days, they are too busy playing video games in their house, working out at the gym, or hanging out with they boys. They have been told that women are only trying to get at them for their money, and they don't have time for all the numbers, as you said, right? They just want to be home with their peoples and they just want to hang with their peoples. So they're not even outside like that. Gen Z don't even drink. Las Vegas is like, what am I going to do? Because nobody's coming here drinking the same way like they used to because Gen Z is not going. So where is she supposed to find these men? It's not this plethora of men out here in the same way that they used to be. And so my heart goes out to her. My heart goes out to all the young women like her that are really frustrated and going through this right now, because it is a challenging time in these streets. Like people say sometimes a dating pool has piss in it. I'm not saying that it does, but what I am saying is that there are some different challenges out here today that were not there previously for previous generations.
You know, for some reason, I feel like there's competing songs like playing in my head. Like the first one is like a Whitney Houston classic, which is like, I believe the children are our future. You know, and I'm like, damn, if that's the case, it's looking really bleak right now. Then the other song that came in my head, right? I mean, it's like, wow, it is looking, wow. You know what I'm saying? Now I don't even remember the other song because I'm just so disappointed. You know, oh, I know what it was. Cry Me a River. You don't have to say what you did. I already know. Right? Because on the one hand, I hear what y'all saying. You know, I do empathize, but I don't know if that's the message that any young person who's watching the show needs to hear. Like, because I feel like they've been coddled enough. That might be part of the problem. Like, even as an older parent, I think about how, you know, you're supposed to raise your kids nowadays, right? Like, less ass whooping like we got and more like affirming them. You know, all these different parenting approaches that are the standard now, right? And how much things have changed since we were younger. I yearned for yesteryear, right? Not so much because, you know, that type of abuse was a good thing, right? But I'm the old guy now who appreciates what it provided for me in terms of some fortitude, like in terms of some chutzpah, like some get out there and make it happen. Some, hey, life is not like, I'm gonna take a quick turn for a second. I went to the bookstore to go get my wife a birthday present, right? And it was a coloring book. And in the coloring book, one of the passages was, it was for Black women, because my wife's a Black woman. And one of the passages was like, your ancestors wanted you to live the soft life, or some shit like that. And I'm like, really? I must have missed that memo. Now, the reason why that correlates, right? I'm glad that she's, you know, Lasana likes that, is that that's the fucking delusion that has been pervasive. What the fuck? What? Who told you life is supposed to be soft? What? Life is what the fuck you make it, right? Life is what you put into it, right? Like, life is how you show up. You know what I'm saying? Your wins and your losses, we all go through them. I remember growing up and getting dissed by girls. Okay, cool. It made you a little bit stronger so you can go to the next girl eventually. Like, oh my fucking God, we need to be ringing the alarm. If the level of emotion this young lady is indicative of the peril that our young people are in, not only have we failed them as like cousins and uncles and maybe parents, right? But we need to be ringing the fucking alarm. And honestly, I almost wanted to just have fun with this one, but I agree with y'all. It is that bad. I do believe her. I hear these young men, incels, and all this shit that's happening, right? The social media thing that was supposed to actually bring us closer together somehow has, you know, ostracized us from one another, even more so than COVID did. Somebody mentioned that earlier. If we're being honest, right? Because we think we're connected to people, but we're really not. People aren't picking up the phone. People are only seeing you as your timeline or as a caricature of yourself, which you're partially responsible for because that's what you only post. So I get why she's in that despair. It's like, oh my fucking God, right? This is ring the alarm type of shit. But I would still say to y'all young people out there, okay, fucking get some chutzpah about yourselves. The fuck? I mean, no, because listen, no matter what, no level of grace or coddling I can give you on this program is going to change the harsh reality of life. If you don't go out there and make a living, you're going to be homeless unless you can live with your parents until they fucking die. And at some point in time, you're still going to have to reconcile your fucking life. That's life. I don't know how much of disconnected from life you would be on social media to not know that about life. You know what I'm saying? And some of us are culpable. Fuck social media. We coddle these motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I'm not supposed to say that because you're going to feel some type of way. We give them all kinds of diagnoses and shit, right? So at some point in time, we got to take them out the bubble wrap a little bit. And maybe now is the time for Shorty and little people like her to get out of the fucking bubble wrap. You know what I'm saying? The fuck? You know what I mean? You have some control over this. Like I said, touch grass, go outside. So we telling them the shit, but we still calling them. And that's part of the fucking problem. Everybody don't get on the board. Some of y'all ain't gonna be a fucking influencer. Okay, sorry to be the one to tell you that. You know what I'm saying? You're going to get you a job at Walmart. That's what the fuck it's going to be. You're going to have 3 or 4 kids and a trailer. It is what the fuck it is. Do the best you're going to fucking do. That's fucking life. You know what I'm saying? And lastly, I'll say the most pernicious thing about social media is that it got y'all believing that y'all are people that y'all are not. You are the accumulation at best reckoning of your actions. Meaning that, hey, did you go to school? Did you not go to school? Did you get a job? Did you maintain? You are the sum total. Some of y'all are delusional. Look around you and see what your actions have brought you, ma'am. You know what I'm saying? Accept that as responsibility and do better. The fuck? You know what I'm saying? She was still cute enough to go get herself a man. I hate when a cute chick act like an ugly girl. You know what I'm saying? You are cute enough to do better, boo. You know what I'm saying? Work with what you got. You know what I'm saying? Oh, grateful ass. I'm sorry.
No, Nick, you know, you got a really good point, because I'm sure there's a guy in her inbox right now that she has been curving for like 6 months. There's just a bunch of hello, good morning, beautiful texts. She's like, no, I'm gonna go back to the apps. I can do better than this guy. And to the point you made, and I was thinking about it when you were talking, Nick, you young people, because I'm a man of a certain age, I just had a birthday. Dating is a contact sport. I'm sorry. It's just the Hunger Games. There's no, nice version of it. You're going to get some cuts and scrapes. You're going to get your heart broken. You might crash out every now and then. You're just going to have to accept that as a feature of dating and not a bug, and govern yourselves accordingly. And may the odds be ever in your favor. I'm sorry.
You know what? I actually love that it's like the Hunger Games, because at the end of the day, both the men and women are basically just presenting themselves as highlight reels instead of their real selves. And so I feel like the expectation or the issue isn't necessarily gender, but it's the performance culture that we currently have out there. So it begs the question, if dating is broken, is it because expectations are unrealistic? Just like how you mentioned her going back into her DMs and she probably curved some brother. So my question is, we keep hearing there's not enough viable Black men. Not saying that's what she wanted, but in this next segment, we keep hearing that there's not enough viable Black men. But at the same time, we got more independent, educated, and successful Black women than ever before. So the question is the dating pool actually shallow? Are the standards just sky high? Are women being forced to expand their options, i.e. Black women? Are we being forced to expand our options? Or are we really just avoiding accountability? Because there seems to be a theme of accountability here.
No, I think it's a combination of all of those things. But from that side of it, my question would be, okay, we've achieved all of these things as women. You've got more houses than ever. You got all these accolades. Okay, that's great. To me, the question is, okay, well, why don't your counterparts connect with you? Why can't you interact? Why can't you pair up with your counterparts? That seems to be the issue, because the assumption that if there were more of my counterparts, I would have one. I don't know that I necessarily buy it, because they got to want you back too. And you've been in these social circles, I'm sure, whatever, professional associations or organizations or academic areas that they're around, you're around your peers, you're around your counterparts. Why aren't you guys pairing up? So to me, that's the question that gets avoided in a lot of these situations, where we blame the lack of volume versus what am I offering, or what is it about me that doesn't resonate with my counterparts? If I've got 2 MBAs and all these degrees, okay, well, where are the guys who have this same stuff? Why am I not pairing up with them? We saw this with Ebony K. Williams. Why doesn't her counterparts want her?
So it just so happened that she provided a list of reasons in her 18-page slideshow, I like to call it.
It was long, yeah.
In regards to why she didn't find that there are viable Black men in her dating experience. And part of that she pointed out was that basically there seems to be a lack of alignment, i.e. with what she's looking for, and that they're apolitical, they're agnostic. There's a bunch of things. Or another part was that even if they check all the boxes, they're checking for the younger women and not checking for her, because they've already checked all, even if they're checking all the boxes. So that was like, she provided a bunch of reasons in regards to why she felt that was the case.
What's missing is that she also said that it's about supply and demand. And Black men are in demand, first of all. If you were to ask what is the most desirable men of all races, Black men are the most desirable of all races, right? Now, when you start to stack on, they have a graduate degree, they have a 6-figure job, maybe they're 6 feet, whatever it is, all these other numbers, as we talked about earlier, they become even more desirable, right? So now the demand is high. That man can choose anyone he wants. He's not just going after someone like her. So a lot of times her counterparts aren't even just looking at her. The other part about it is some of the other women are more submissive, easier to control, are willing to, be more accommodating. When a woman is of a certain stature, when she has worked very hard, she's gotten her education, she's where she needs to be, bought her own home, who's she submitting to in that same way? She's not begging for love. Whereas some of these other women will really bend themselves like pretzels just to be with a man. And if you're a man, you have a woman over here who owns her own home, who acts like she doesn't really need you because she really doesn't. She might want you, but she don't need you. Versus a woman, on the other hand, who is bending herself over in every which way but loose so that she can be with you, then who are you going to pick? And most Black men are going to pick that one, that latter one. So that woman with the house and the degree and the cars and all this other stuff, she going to remain single.
I appreciate everything that Lasana said, Devin too, but definitely Lasana, because women don't, you won't hear from us men, right? Maybe you will hear from another woman who got a head on straight. The problem is not that there are not enough Black men, okay? That's not the problem. The problem is that the outcomes that women want in terms of the Black man they want or the Black man that they probably should get aren't, those outcomes aren't reflected by the choices that they're making, right? For instance, Lasana talked about, this waiting to work, this rich auntie thing, or I'm gonna, work and get married later. That's cool, boss B. That's very good. When you look around, though, all the guys your age who are at your income level don't want to have to match anybody's energy. They work too hard for that. They don't want to have to get anybody into submission. They work too hard for that. So the guys that you want, that you feel like are your peers, don't see you as peers. They see you sometimes more as a problem, more as competition, more as something they have to prove now. Whereas they go get this younger lady or whatever who's still trying to come up in life, she's grateful, right? She's like, hey, whatever you say, I'll do it. Lasana said it perfectly. So, there are plenty of Black men out here building, working, growing, available, okay? But the relationships that women say they want don't always align with the types of men that they're constantly engaging in. Maybe it's because they age out. Maybe because they're overlooking some. Maybe because they like the old chick that was like, I would never date a bus driver. I mean, what? Somebody got to date them. If the same patterns keep showing up, right? Ladies, you say you can't find a man. The same pattern keeps showing up. You're finding dudes with non-commitment and instability and misalignment. At some point, right, you got to examine, like, not just what you think is out there, but who is doing the picking, right? Why are you picking these kind of people? And why these selections keep turning out this way? You recognize the patterns, folks. If the outcome doesn't change, it's because the pattern hasn't changed. It's not that there aren't any good Black men out there. It's that you have a messed up definition of what a good Black man looks like. At some point, it's going to stop being about supply and it's going to start being about feedback. Y'all need to listen to the feedback.
I love how Lasana mentioned market conditions, right? When some of these men are like at better prices, if you will, when they're younger, right? Like, so if you're talking about that guy, if you're gonna wait till he's 40, means he's probably married. He was smart enough to couple, right? Because when you look at the stats, as far as certain boxes, when you think about income, et cetera, a lot of us are married. A lot of us also got married relatively young, I think, at least as far as our generation, right? So, like, if you're a boss B, when you know market conditions, right? Like, when it's probably the good time to make some choices, right? Or it's okay to complain about it after you've made some poor ones and blame the market, for why you are on the outside looking in. I remember when the COVID hit, there were people looking for homes. There's a lot of people who did not get a home, and they regretted it because guess what? The market conditions no longer made it tenable for them to buy a home. You know, that's what happens when you wait too long sometimes. The market is cyclical. There's good markets and then there's bad markets. All you boss babes out there, right? Y'all know this, right? So I'm not telling you anything new. So that's one. Number two, it really hurts my heart because it tells me what y'all value. Like, you know, like if you made it, then what else do you need then? You don't need a nigga money, right? You need some companionship. You can't figure out a way to figure out how you can be compatible with another human being. It got to be what, like, how much money he make? That's how you judge your compatibility. It's not like the morals, the values, the integrity, the honor, the commitment that guy represents. You know what I'm saying? It sucks. You know, people say it sucks when the rabbit has a gun. In this particular case, it sucks if we give y'all have the opportunity to lead, and this is what y'all do with leadership. Like, y'all leave people behind. y'all get to the point where you see yourselves as so haughty that you are above others, like you're above people. And then you come up with statistics to validate your arrogance in terms of how you're better than somebody. Why? Because you have a degree, the same system that you bemoan, but yeah, you got a degree, you were able to do your thing. That makes you better than somebody? I mean, I'm just asking these questions because I'm trying to understand when we say there's not enough Black men. Jay hit at it. I don't know if I understand, because it sounds like y'all only judging people on certain things, which, cool, right? You know what I'm saying? We can't leave y'all behind, but apparently when y'all move forward, it's okay to say fuck us too, right? Like, because it's not about whether or not I'm solid or whether or not I'm going to be there for you and our kids if we want to have some. It's not about that when I look at the statistics of what she was talking about. And then lastly, the lack of accountability, for real. I think the guys hinted at it, but some of y'all ain't it. Like, in terms of, you don't present in a way that a man of any worth and or value would want to cuff you, for real. Like, you think just because you have a vagina, that's enough, right? You don't have to put forth any effort, right? To like show him that you're interested too. So when you show up as a cold fish on a date and because he rejects you, it's because he was a fuckboy. It was because he wasn't serious. He wasn't really intentional. And then you see him getting married to another chick a year later and you wonder why the fuck did that happen? For all of y'all that's happened to, yes, it was you. Let me answer that for y'all. You know what I'm saying? So it just bothers me when I hear this shit because y'all be making excuses to not just face yourself. It's the same fucking shit over and over. Not enough good men out there. Seriously? And lastly, I know I said lastly before, but fuck it, right? You only need one. Y'all talking market conditions. Y'all can't even push yourselves in a position in the queue to get one? And it's all men's problem. That's like going to the grocery store talking about, I couldn't find nothing to drink. Really? Is that me? Or is it you? Is it the grocery store? Because there's some shit to drink out here. What the fuck are y'all talking about? Right? It's not carbonated. It got the stevia. There's different reasons why you can't find something to drink at this grocery store. Nah, sis, it is you. You're welcome. Fuck.
So I want to go ahead and go on record and just state that, first of all, Black women are the most race loyal, which is why she's talking about not having the most viable Black men, because what she's looking at, she's basically saying that there's not enough men who match what these women, i.e. Black women in this particular group, are looking for across the board. And so what they're looking for, as an example, is like, it's not just the education. It's not about having the degree. It's not about just having a job. It's also about the emotional intelligence, the leadership, and the intention. Because at this point, when they're in their life, it's basically saying, hey, it's almost like the trade-off conversation, and there's no trade-off, i.e. there's not a trade-off they're willing to accept. So for example, they can find an educated man, but he may not be emotionally available, or he may not be relationship ready. As a matter of fact, they can find a man with money, but they may not be looking for a commitment, or they want other type of commitment, i.e. let me do what I do and you just play your role. And that's not maybe something that they want. You also they can find a good-hearted man, but that man lacked direction or ambition. And because this woman is at a certain place in her life, she still want that direction. She still want that man with ambition. She still want all these possibilities that she want to exist in that man. That's what she's saying when she's talking about that she's not finding any viable Black man in her dating experience. And so what they're looking for is the full package, right? What is the full package? How can I find that in this one person versus understanding that, hey, there may be some trade-offs, but not necessarily willing to have the trade-off. What I will say is this, is that we're bemoaning the Black woman who's stating that she can't find viable Black men because she's independent, but we're not recognizing that Black men are saying, so what? We don't care about your house. We don't care about your car. But at the same time, still want that woman to have some independence. So it's like a conflicting story because back in the 90s, these women are now, that 90 era where we was talking about INDEP, and these were men singing this stuff. And so women took that for action, and now they're being held at fault for taking that for action. And so it's one of those things where I'm just like, yo, this is crazy because what she's advocating is not that there's not enough viable men. Basically, she's saying for her in particular, she's not finding what she wants in Black men. And at the end, she's somewhat encouraging women to include herself to date out and look at other options because of she doesn't feel like there's some type of equally yoked, there's equally matched or something along those lines. And that's what the crux of the conversation is in regards to her saying there's not enough viable Black men. There's not enough viable Black men for what she wants, for what she's looking for. And some women have that same feeling.
Thank you for women's planning. Oh my God, we already understood that, right? So, okay, thank you. But can I ask you a question?
It's a pleasure.
Okay, cool. So, okay, great. So how do you feel about it? Because low key, what she's doing is shitting softly, however soft-lifely, on Black men on her way out. You just basically said towards the end, she made the case of why women should date out. And while she's doing that, she is framing this bereft, lack of education, lack of whatever availability. So knowing you, how do you square that?
So it's actually interesting when I was looking at this story, I said, so one, as you know, I'm very pro Black relationships and whatnot, because I understand that for our community, we actually need Black families at the foundation. And so when I read this story, what I heard was that she's saying for everything that she's looking for is getting smaller and smaller at the top, i.e. the people that she may be interested in is getting smaller and smaller. And because they have other options and she's not at the top of their options, she's at her, I guess I want to say wit's end. And now she's looking outside for other relationships or other options is what
you fell for it. Okay, gotcha. So you fell for her okie doke. Cool. Yeah, you fell for her okie doke. Like what she's basically is shitting on. We had a person on this who was like the first, Black men are in prison. That's why I can't find nobody. Like, really, ma'am? That's what the top three reasons he's going to go is Black men are in prison? Like it's giving a lot of that. Right? Because y'all don't disagree, like to a certain extent, like as men get older, there's less of them, right? I don't think nobody disagrees with that. So if these smart, educated women who were in college with some of these men, were they not smart enough to snatch one up? Were they not like putting themselves in positions to be able, like, let's be honest. Like, let me ask y'all as women, just straight up. Like, do y'all even go out? Do y'all even know how to date? That's my main point too. Like, how many of y'all know how to position yourselves even in the company of the men that you say that you desire? Like, what does that look like? Lasana, you're out there, right? A little bit. Like, what does that look like? How are you able to find, put yourself in position of men in general? Because I can imagine like most women aren't necessarily doing that. They're going out with their girlfriends. They're having a good time. They're doing brunches and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like prioritizing, putting themselves in the company of men in the first place doesn't seem to be very high.
Can I just say that the women's liberation movement lied to us? We bought that hook, line, and sinker. And I don't think any race of women bought that more than Black women. And we really thought that we could have it all and at the same time. So we can, work, we can be a wife, we can, do everything, right? We have it all together. And so a lot of times I think what happens to women at a certain status level is they've been trained their whole life, even from college, where that's, one of the best places to find your husband. I mean, I tell young women all the time, keep your eyes open in college. High school, if you find your man, that's one thing. But if you really want to get your husband, look in college, because that's the best group of men that you're going to find. Because the rest of the time, you're working. You can't find a man when you're at your job because you don't want to, crap and eat in the same place. That's not going to work. The apps are just useless. The algorithms are not always on point. So what are you going to do? But the problem is that number one, depending on what type of woman, where her race was, how she grew up, her background experience. For example, myself, when I was in college, it was about getting that degree. It was not about getting married. I was not coached on marriage. It was about books before boys. Don't get out here and get pregnant. So my thought process in going through school was about getting my education. And then getting my education, my next thought process was getting a job, getting a career. And then you get the career and you're moving up in your career and you're like, great. So now I get the car and now I get the house. And you kind of feel like you are giving what you want, right? The problem is that women now have become the husbands that they wanted. And the other challenge of that is that those type of men who are quote unquote equally yoked are looking for a different set of skills, what we would call soft skills, which most professional women don't tend to have or hone because that's not where they are being, cultivated. So the problem is now that man, again, wants someone who can cook a meal, wants someone who's going to look out for him, wants someone who's going to be supportive and encouraging. She's like, I got a job. My boss needs me. So it just changes the whole dynamic. And then when you wonder why these women can't find a man, it's not because they didn't try. It's not because they're not putting themselves out there, but what they are marketing themselves to the marketplace is not what the market wants. That's the challenge.
So I just want to add one other thing, because Nic, you reminded me of something when you said a previous guest that we had on the show mentioned the incarceration rate. But I also want to point out that while I don't necessarily agree fully with the incarceration rates, the systemic realities does affect the dating pool. So that's like economic disparities. That's the educational gap within the Black community. That is partially incarceration rates. And so I think that if we ignore some of the systemic realities, then we're actually oversimplifying the conversation and just reducing it down to that she's just not doing what she's supposed to be doing as a Black woman and looking for an excuse to date out. I do think that we're somewhat oversimplifying the conversation itself, but this is not that type of show. Just want to point it out.
It is type of show. I'm pushing back. I am pushing back. I am pushing back because I think we overcomplicate things. Like maybe that's part of the problem. At this stage of my life, I do realize it's keep it simple, stupid. That phrase means something, right? If you're trying to couple, if you've done well for yourself, if you're making a certain amount of money, clearly, if you're budgeting correctly, then money's not an issue for you. Right? Maybe you want a little excess. Okay, cool. You want a vacation 7 times a year, right? At some point in time, is there no level of responsibility to anyone else other than yourself? Is it all about you? That level of selfish self-centeredness is unhealthy for that person and for the community that same person wants to lean on sometimes, but it doesn't work out for them. You get what I'm saying? Like for me, again, I've said in last episodes, my mindset is that we need to come together. And the more I hear these bullshit reasons, it just tells me like, what are you judging it on? Is your ability to have good conversations, conflict resolutions? You mentioned something about emotional intelligence, but there's a counter conversation happening that y'all who say that y'all want that can't deal with that when y'all get it. Because guess what? As men are adjusting to what y'all say y'all want, guess what? Some guys are showing up emotionally intelligent. They're telling you they're not putting up with your bullshit. They're telling you that you need to show up a little bit more. They're telling you you need to be more accountable, right? They're saying these things as opposed to whatever, and y'all still can't deal with that. It's like excuses all over the fucking place. Like this episode should be called fucking excuses. You know what I'm saying? Like at the dead ass. Because again, I asked y'all a question. How are you positioning yourself? That same woman who's getting that job knew how to fill out an application, how to submit a resume, how to go on an interview, how to kiss her boss's ass, how to fucking network, how to fucking politic. All of these things that these accomplished women can seem to do in a particular lane. You mentioned soft skills. Sorry, Lasana, I disagree. A lot of these women have great soft skills when it serves them. They know how to turn it on. That's part of the job when you're ascending to certain levels of leadership. Because guess what? God's got to do that too. So all of a sudden, when it comes to your boss, and this is a conversation that men are saying, oh, when it comes to your white boss at the job, you know how to show up and pretend every fucking day, even if you don't love it. But the nigga that you say that you can love, you can't show up for? Where the fuck does that make sense? Where the fuck? Right? So I hear what y'all saying, right? But again, if I am saying y'all are smart, y'all are educated, y'all have all these fucking degrees, you got all these fucking soft skills, and yet, you can't just reconcile why you were not able to apply those great skills in one area to get a nigga? to get a nigga. And let me be clear, like at least if you was able to get a nigga to wife you, if you had, a relationship, they're not talking to y'all. Because at least y'all got somebody to go there. I'm talking about to all these women who don't got no nigga. I mean, I'm just being honest. Like, be honest. You know what I'm saying? It's not all niggas. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying it's rosy out there, but I just hate when, and that's why I asked you that question. I hate when people point the finger and make it seem like it's all black men. That's not cool. That's not cool. If you want to date your white ass out. But guess what? They don't want your ass either. Show me where the numbers show these motherfuckers showing up for y'all like that. Okay? Sorry. Just because Gabrielle Thibodeau got somebody don't mean that you're going to be able to get somebody. Okay? She wants some awards and shit. Okay? Y'all got to be realistic, man.
So I'm just going to say this.
Shit pisses me off, dog.
I'm just going to say this.
Win no awards.
Ultimately, look, this is what I'm going to say. Look, so ultimately, when she's talking about dating out, the recommendation that I have is that, like you guys said, there's more. You're only trying to get one. So if there is I think the fact that her pool is too narrow, right? We talked about social media. We talked about dating apps. We talked about all these other avenues that she could technically pursue. So perhaps just where she's pursuing is too small and she may need to expand her horizon, because black comes in many colors, i.e. different nationalities and so forth. And therefore she doesn't have to look for just that here. It's like,
Nigerian.
You know what I'm saying? There's all types. And so that's why I think that she's actually doing a disservice to herself and to the overgeneralization of black men. But because I hear this often, and it also shows up in social media, once again, social media being the primary culprit, that there must be some validity to what some of these folks are saying, even if that means that they're actually not looking beyond their own scope of their current situation, because they're only seeing, that's why she phrased it as this was from her perspective.
Right. And I think the bigger thing, and we touched on it earlier, is women in a lot of positions like her, you're going to have to make some fucking trade-offs, sis. Okay, you might be the guy, he makes, $250,000 a year, but he's 5'5". I mean, you okay with that? You're not going to get the 6-foot guy making $250. I'm sorry. You're going to have to decide if you're okay with that. You're going to have to make trade-offs, because he's 9 times out of 10, he's making some trade-offs with your ass. You think you're everything he wants? He's making some trade-offs too. That works both ways.
Yes.
You have to make some compromises.
There's a reason why the guy who's making $200,000 is still single. It's because he's 5'5". So like, it's like those shoes who stay on the rack too long, they go on sale. Yes, sis, you got you a man who's making the money you want to make, but you can't wear heels. What you gonna do, boo? What you gonna do? The 6'6" thing he's already took. Them shits come out, they drop, they bought.
Right.
They like the new J's, they go fast.
They do. All right, listen, man. Let's keep the party going, because Grant Cardone said something that I don't know if I agree or disagree. We'll see. Will I be consistent? I don't know. But, conversely, right, as women are being taught, hey, get your bag and go to school. Apparently, I thought men were always being taught this. But for some reason, this version is different, because what Grant is saying, hey, don't get married. Focus on your bag. Right? I mean, I don't know, maybe we grew up at a different time, but it was always, as a man, go provide, right? But now they're saying, don't get married, because he didn't get married until like his 50s. We've heard the conversation around red pill communities that, hey, brother, You know what I'm saying? Focus on, get your bag up, because once you get your bag up, you'll be able to get any baddie that you want. You dig what I'm saying? There's like certain goals. Focus on your bag. Forget that woman that might be with you for right now. Because if you work hard enough and save enough, you'll get the baddie that you really want. So what do y'all think in regards? I mean, there's different ways this plays out, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that was really the message, but
you sure? You sure?
I mean, it sounded better when they said it. You know what I mean? It sounded better.
I'm giving multiple sides to this, right? Do you guys think this is sage advice in regards to having men focus more on their careers and building themselves up in lieu of a relationship, or not necessarily focusing so much? Be clear, this is not about, oh, you can do both. This is about telling young men, fuck the other. Focus on getting your bag is what we're talking about here. So I don't want to do all this like a little fake shit that we do sometimes, okay? So do y'all think that young men, 20s to 30s, early whatever, should postpone settling down and wifing somebody and just focus on getting their bags? Go.
Okay, so marriage works best when a man builds his foundation first, so that his partnership complements his purpose and doesn't define it, or doesn't create it or define it. Okay. And I say that as a man who was first married in his late 20s, married again in his mid 30s, and then married again in his 40s. So I've done all the stages, and I can tell you that getting married at 40 ain't bad if you got a plan. Men are often told to delay marriage, right? Until they're more successful. But the success isn't just financial. It needs clarity. It needs direction. It needs structure. So, you can hold off on getting with somebody, but if you're not like building, right? In this time that you're not with somebody, like, don't be a fuckboy. Don't be out here just chasing ass, like, oh, I'm going to wait to get married till I'm like 40, and you're not building nothing. That's ridiculous. You're wasting the time. A man is best served not by engaging in marriage early or as soon as he's out the gate, but when he's sure-footed, right? When he knows what he's doing, when he's sure of what he should be doing, who he should be, how he should do it, when he knows what his purpose is. Because when that foundation is in place, and he's not just looking for a woman to define him, then he's selecting a woman who aligns with him, right? Who aligns with what he's already building, a woman who he can set into his program and they can go on to the plan that he has envisioned. And that changes everything, right? Because his energy isn't stretched thin then trying to figure out life and maintain his relationship and make this lady happy and bend over backwards and change who he is and change his purpose. He's focused, he's directed, and he's choosing from a place of clarity. You don't build a life around a relationship. You build your relationship into a life that's already being built if you're a man with purpose. That's all I'm talking to. If you ain't got no purpose, man, check what everybody else is saying, because I ain't talking to y'all no purpose fellas. Y'all do what y'all want to do.
So I'm not even going to tell you about how many times my phone rings from a married man that I have known from when I was in college or high school who are lusting after my photos on Facebook or Instagram and thinking about how they would have done things differently, knowing what they know now than where they were at that point. And so I do think there is something about taking a little bit of time and not rushing to get married when you're young, because clearly a lot of these men did not make the right decision. I mean, Jay, you just said you've been married 3 times. So I would assume if you could go back, would you have married the first wife knowing what you know now, or even the second? And so I think from what I've been seeing, right, that's my point. So what I've been seeing is that a lot of these men need time to grow. And we all know that women mature faster than men. So when a man gets married very young, basically he's putting himself in the woman's hands, asking her to help mold him into the man that he needs to become. And sometimes that works. Sometimes it's beautiful and they grow together and it's just amazing. And when that happens, chef's kiss, it's gorgeous. But more than not, what ends up happening is that woman helps him to become the man he wants to be. And then he realizes she's not really the woman that I need to be with. She's not really the woman that at this level should be by my side. And now he got to go over to the next one. So I think that men should take a little bit of time. I'm not saying they got to be 50. I think that's a little extreme for a man to wait till he's 50 to get married. But the other thing that I will say, we talked about social media earlier, and a lot of these women today, like this now current generation, they are always looking at social media. Social media informs their decisions on things like dating. And so on social media, it's the highlight reel. What are people showing? They're not showing the struggle. No one's showing how you got to come up. Everyone is showing the vacations, the trips, the restaurants. So if a man can't afford to do that for his wife and she can't afford or is not even able to show that to her friends that I'm living this kind of life, I'm getting Birkin bags from my husband. Don't you see the spa that I'm in? Well, then you know what? These young men need to go ahead, get their degrees. They need to get their money so that they can provide that kind of life to a woman, because that is what women are looking for these days.
Wow, I'm completely on the opposite side of that spectrum. I am completely on the opposite side of that. And it may be from my own personal experience, being the fact that I married my husband when he was 23. And so I think timing matters more than than anything. So just because some people may be ready at 25 and others may be ready at 40, I don't think age alone should determine if someone's ready for marriage or not. And so for him to say that men should get married much later, because he kind of highlighted that he's in his 50s, he got married. To me, that's a hospice husband, because you're on your way on the decline. And so while you're on your way on the decline, now you're looking for a wife? You 69, 70, now you're looking for a wife? You don't spend all this time wasting all these women who you don't mess around with their prime years, because men and women talk about that biological clock, and you don't wasted their prime years on a hope and a dream, but you knew all along. So unless that man he's been intentional, i.e. I'm waiting until XYZ, which 9 out of 10 they're not going to do, then why are you wasting women time? Because women who are interested in marriage, they go in with that intention from the start, for the most part, like, hey, I want to get married one day. And if that one day, 10 years later, and they're still not married, then now you wasted her time. And we just talked about how in the last clip, how the woman was like, she's at a certain age, she has certain things. And now the pool of men that she liked is smaller because her time was wasted probably by somebody else. I believe she even indicated that she was married for 8 years. So I do like the whole, hey, have some financial stability, but financial stability, while it may reduce some stress, that depends on if they're in alignment, if his wife that he chooses later on is in alignment with his financial vision for that future or their future, right? And so I don't necessarily think that, like, yes, it's definitely a plus to have, but at the same time, if he mismatched with somebody else, even at the age of 40, he can pick the wrong person. At the age of 50, this guy who just got married, Grant, he could have picked the wrong person, and 6 years later, he's also getting a divorce. I don't think that guarantees success in marriage that way either. As a matter of fact, there's a rise of great divorces. Now, the rise is for various reasons, but it's still the fact that there's a rise of great divorces. The last thing I'm going to say is just because so this big selling point to me is that you'll have more options. And it's true. You will have more options. But the question is, will it be the right options? Will it be the right options for you, depending on what you want in life? Or will it be those gold digging heifers y'all always complain about when you talking about, oh, I have more options? Is it going to be the baddie who don't cook, don't clean, but she looks good on your arm? And if that's what you want, then cool. But we get divorced later on. So it's like, those options that they talk about, yes, you will have more options, but will they be the right option? Will they be the better partner for you at your big old age? But more importantly, I firmly disagree with hospice husband. I don't want no damn nursing home husband. But anyways, let me stop, because those are caretaker wives at that point, depending on the age that they're getting married. I've seen 70-year-olds getting married. Matter of fact, the guy who talked about he didn't find love until he was 69, didn't understand until he was 69. It was like, oh, okay, now you understand, which I appreciate. But at this point, sir, you are on the decline. Sir, you may have prostate issues. You may have saggy balls. You know what I'm saying? All the things that go wrong with women. Y'all got some shit going wrong too. Your sperm got probably causing Down syndrome at this point, because your sperm will hit retrograde. So I just think there's other things to consider. I literally think there's a sweet spot between young and old when finding that age to get married. But of course, I'm going for younger, because you need to have that foundation first and foremost and find someone that you can build with.
But SNM, can I just ask you a question? Is it possible that there's a rise in gray marriages because most of these couples did get married so early? And now that their children are out of the house and in college or high school or whatever, now they're like, I don't have to be in this anymore. I don't have to stay in this marriage. I see so many people getting divorced as soon as their youngest kid hits high school, because they're like, I've been miserable for 25 years. But I didn't want to do anything because I was trying to keep my marriage together, because I was trying to keep my family together. But now these kids are old enough. I need to go live my life and be happy for me. And maybe, just maybe, if they gave themselves a few more years, again, not saying to become a hospice husband, but just saying that they gave themselves a few more years, they might have made a better decision with who they chose as their wife.
So I can concur with that. As a matter of fact, that was one of the reasons that they cited for the rise of great divorces, along with the fact that there are so many more options that are available. And even people who are getting second marriages will end up having what is considered a great divorce as well. Simply because, once again, the market has changed is what they boil down to. So I can concur with that.
Yeah, oddly enough, you may be surprised by this. I mean, the red pill guy, I think this is awful advice I looked this up. You know how long the average millionaire has been married? Speaking, on the last topic we talked about, the average millionaire has been married 30 years for the most part to the same woman. The average American's married like 7, 8 years. So I think there's something to that getting married younger, that gives you a chance to work together for longer. You learn each other's strengths and weaknesses. You can build wealth. That's the generally quickest, most surefire way to reach that point, is when you have somebody supporting you. I think Grant's an outlier, and there are plenty of guys like that who are outliers, but for the most part, you're better off, you're more likely to become a millionaire the earlier you get married, not later. And Kevin Samuels talked about this quite often. He said a few times, and it got glossed over, there's very few bachelors in the boardroom. At a certain level, that top tier C-suite, executive level, there's very few single guys there. And typically you need somebody that's got your back, who's been there for you the whole time, who's been solid, that can help you move forward and get to the top. So I think this is awful ideas, because what ends up happening, you're going to end up complaining about the women you do have available to you. There may be better, hotter. You can get them younger, cool, but is she there for the right reasons when you get married at 50? I do think there's some happy medium between getting married at 17, 18 and getting married at 50. But I definitely don't think waiting, till you're past middle age. And middle age is like 37 and a half, by the way. It's not 50. Waiting past that, I think that's horrible advice for most men in most cases. Grant's an outlier, and he's using his own personal case as a self-referential data point. But that's me.
It's funny you say that, Delvin, because I couldn't agree with you more about that last part in particular, because I hate when people take their unique situation and just make it seem like that's how everybody should do. But then I feel like low-key I might do exactly that. So I don't know, how do I thread that needle a little bit, right? Because some people would say my experience is an outlier as well to a certain extent, right? But I can still make the case though, because I think you did an excellent job of making that case. That when we talk about like this idea of getting to the bag, what does that look like exactly? I think you was laying the case that getting to bag may be easier to do with a partner, but yet he's telling you, nah, don't worry about that. Go out there and get the bag. It's the same type of delusional things that women are being taught that I guess apparently men, I guess, are being taught differently now. It was always a thing to go out there and, create something for yourself. Like that was a given. But so now we don't want to be responsible for another human being. We don't think another human being can add to our legacy. Y'all said some shit when I was listening to y'all, because I was like, oh, she's going to let a man lead him. And is it possible that a young man can have purpose younger in life? What's not being said in this conversation is that we're regressing. This is like the Benjamin Buttons thing, where as we get older, we're getting younger. We were talking about the young lady who was boohoo crying because of what? Rejection? Like as if most of us didn't experience that young enough to mature at a certain point. We're regressing is what I'm saying. Like, because some of this stuff doesn't make sense to me at all, right? Like, for example, women at the age of 35 start to have high-risk pregnancies. That's not Nic saying that. This is science saying that. So suppose that maybe the goal was for you to have enough kids before 35. Right? Considering that when you're actually physically able to start bearing children is what? Like late teen, early teens for some people. So you had a 20 some odd year window where God's science says, hey, this might be the ideal time for you to do a thing. But yet we're pushing shit back further and further. We're going to talk about a little bit, in a little bit, like you over 40 now having your first baby. Like, so what I'm saying is like we're going against what seems as natural. This is not Nic saying this. So if you're a man who worked his ass off, got you a job, most men don't get to that certain level of the bag to a certain extent until their late 30s and 40s. Is that when you want to settle down? Also, most people who are married typically marry people around their age group. I know we like to romanticize this young thing. Okay, cool. Well, we see how that turns out, right? What version of this sounds like you ending up, excelling in other areas of your life outside of getting a bag? And most of y'all niggas ain't getting the bag. I hate to break it to you. Most, 90+% of y'all are not getting to a bag sufficient enough that you should eschew your responsibility of being a husband and a father. And what's so perverse about it is that your better chance of doing exactly that is becoming a husband at the very least, or partnering with someone in terms of your resources, your commitment to lifelong. And furthermore, just because a marriage doesn't work out doesn't mean you weren't still successful. Oh, boo-hoo about the fact that you had to stay there to raise your kids. At least you raised some kids. At least you contributed to society. At least you toughed it out. At least you had some experiences. Y'all act like these marriages be all bad. It don't. They had vacations. They had some good times. It didn't work out cool, but it wasn't like they didn't have moments or experiences that shaped who the fuck they are. It's better to have loved and lost than to have never loved at all. I believe that. And I think it's better to have built with somebody. So all this bullshit of keeping us apart when statistically we're worse off for it. And men are supposed to be the logical ones, right? We're supposed to be the ones that, right? I can excuse emotionality, right, to the other side, but none of this. It's not about Nick saying it because this is what worked out for him. Statistically and otherwise, none of this makes logical sense for a majority of people. And the idea, right, that you're going to make a mistake should also not be the reason why you don't do a thing, scary asses. No wonder you ain't going nowhere. You're afraid to make fucking mistakes. At least you stood on something. At least you made a commitment. You know what I'm saying? That's more than we can say for a lot of people. Right? So I'm sorry. Okay, miss me on this, man. No, what we need to do is cultivate young people to be ahead instead of behind, right? Have a budget. Know how to navigate your finances. Get some emotional, fortitude about you. Get outside a little, touch grass, right? So that way you're more prepared in your 20s to identify a partner so that y'all can build. And lastly, I love how some of my friends, I got a girlfriend of mine. Hopefully she's watching the show. I see you, sis. She got married when she was in high school, right after high school. Had a marriage, didn't work out. She had the kids. Kids are all grown. Now she's in her 40s. Look at us. In our 40s, she's outside, living her best fucking life. She had a marriage and she has some kids and she's outside, financially better off than she's ever been. She found the love of her life and she is living the best life and still did her part to continue the fucking race of human beings by having 3 fucking kids. Y'all self-centered ass motherfuckers. Go out there, dude. This is for men and women. Okay, just be clear. I'm gonna shoot at women, but men too. Y'all have a responsibility, man. The fuck? Everybody want to abdicate all kinds of responsibility. Fuck out of here. I'm sorry.
Not marriage being used predominantly for procreation. I love it. I love it.
I mean, we can't have it. Come on, S&M.
Hey, I love it.
These young men are being told to turn their backs on their fucking responsibility for what? An imaginary bag?
That part.
You know what I'm saying? You can tell some people have, because there's value. And I'm going to say this, I'm sorry, before we move on. Okay? Because listen, y'all, it's imperfect, but if you give effort, you might get lucky. Imagine you actually do find, because all these stories are, oh my gosh, you're going to take your money. It's the worst case scenarios. What if you actually met somebody who was alive with you, who actually supported you, who had your back, who understood your nuances and complexities and could love you still and be there for you? I know it's crazy, right? Those people don't exist. Or do they? Fuck.
I love it. I love it. Just like women are being sold fairy tales, apparently men are stepping into the fairy tale la la land as well. So if men can delay family, what happens when the woman decides to do the same? And so we have Megan Good, who expressed her desire to now have children. And when I say now, as you know, or you may not be aware, she is 44 years old. So at this point with her new husband, Jonathan, I don't know why I did this. I think because I'm still suspect about the relationship, but that's a whole nother story. So she is now expressing that she is ready to have a child with her husband, Jonathan Majors. And this is sparking debate around timing, success, and biology. So the question that I have for you guys, are women being empowered to choose their timeline, or are they being sold a version of reality that doesn't actually line up biology? Is this freedom or is it finance or finesse? And just like we just heard in this last story, is this just yet another fairy tale? Can she have it all?
Okay, I gotta go first here because I want to give a mea culpa. I do. I want to give a mea culpa. I do. You know, I saw the clip of them celebrating their 1-year anniversary. And like some people, I thought this was a hoax. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, all right, come on, man. Like, it's a comeback trail. It's a publicity stunt. Then I was like, do people really care enough about them for them to be doing all this for a publicity stunt? And I'm like, nah, maybe not. Right? So cool. I let go of that. So my mea culpa is that, you know what? I'm starting to believe, you know what I'm saying? And Megan Good and John, like in terms of like that relationship might be real. So I just want to give that mea culpa that for many months and episodes, I poo-pooed on them like, this shit ain't real. And I'm starting to believe that it is. Because, like, I mean, if it's dragging it too long, if it's not. Like, at this point, it's like, all right, come on, what are we doing? Right? So I'm going to give them credit for it being real. So I'll just say simply this. Something about it doesn't really sit in my spirit. You know what I'm saying? It don't. Because it's not that, you know, she can't be 44 and want to have a kid. I'd be a hypocrite. You know what I'm saying? I'm pro all that. You know what I'm saying? She's married. She done found her a second husband. So for me, like on paper, all of it makes sense to a certain extent. But when you start to extend the conversation, because she was married to old boy for 10 years. He was a pastor, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know if the conversation in regards to how you marshal your career over your relationship, like even that dynamic would be weird to me. Like I can imagine as a man, if we're married and I would think that our relationship and our marriage is most important, but you're prioritizing other things other than me, I'd have a problem with that, which sounds a little bit like the issues that Devon had, right? And then also, I don't know, like how did not having a kid play in that relationship too? There's questions for me a little bit, because typically people get married and have a kid. Now, granted, you have a career now. Is this a matter of her career going a little, I mean, I haven't seen her in any movies lately, you know, like does she just have more time? Just convenient, you know what I'm saying, in terms of the timing, right? So I don't know. So for me, I feel like people, because I saw an interview with her, and they were asking her, like, you know, how you feel? And they made it one thing. I think whenever I feel like there's something else is what misses me a little bit. It's not like I said, on paper that what she's doing is cool. Do your thing. But like people have a way of putting on their best face, and I just have a way of seeing past it a little bit sometimes. You get what I'm saying? So until it actually happens, right, and this relationship plays out, then yeah, that part. I mean, I've gone as far as to accept their relationship, but this whole parent act thing, I'm gonna just wait and see. You get what I'm saying? And if we're talking about people in general, I just don't think this is smart. I'm sorry. Like, yes, there's IVF. There's many ways that women can have kids and later on in life, but is that a choice you want to make? And with her, she was in a relationship where she could, so it's just something a little off for me. I love making good. You know what I'm saying? We all do. But there's just something, you know what I mean, a little off. So I wish her nothing but the best. I just wouldn't copy her if I'm a young lady out there thinking that at 44, you know what I'm saying, to have your first kid after you got married to another nigga that you probably should have had a family with. I don't know. I wouldn't advise it. That's just me though. You know what I'm saying? Good luck with that. I mean, if not, then don't get married to the nigga. Does it sound like a nigga who wasn't expecting certain things? Like you got married to a pastor, did not think he wanted to have some kids by you? Like, how did that work out exactly? I'm just curious. Gotcha. And lastly, a little bit of shade. You want to have kids with that nigga? Okay, cool. Hey guys, I just want y'all to know out there, looks don't matter. You know, talent and who you are as a person. Shout out to the Majors for that. Sorry.
I was waiting for the shade.
We almost made it.
I want to give a shout out to my fellow Leo sister, Megan Good, because she a lioness and she is doing things in her own way and in her own time. And I think that too often in society, people do things because society tells them when to do things, when to get married, when to have kids. This is like, society isn't there for you when you make the wrong decision because you rushed into something because they told you to do it. And now you have to deal with the consequences of that. Society doesn't help you with that. So I believe that, yes, she was married to, I believe his name was Devon Franklin. And, you know, it was about a decade. And clearly there was some issues in that marriage that she did not feel comfortable bringing a child into. And we know that marriage, really the original reason why marriage even came into existence was for family. And so if you already know going in or while you're in it, that this is not going to be a good situation to bring a child into, then why do it? Why do it? Just because you're at a certain age and you need to do it? That's unfair. So at this point, she's gotten with Jonathan Majors. She's now married to him. And the marriage must be in a place where she feels safe, that the environment feels safe and is giving her the ability to say, you know what? I want to have children with this guy. She's out here talking about she can see them doing a movie together. Jonathan's the star of the movie. She's producing it, baby strapped to her back. Like the vision that she has Could she have had that with Devon?
Yes.
The answer, I think, is not. No, I don't think she felt like she could have. So I believe that's why she chose now. And look, we have not talked about it today, but Janet had her son at 50. So all of this hoopla about women feeling like, oh, at 35, if you don't have your kids by then, you all washed up. Science is coming out now that there's actually a protective coating around eggs that allows the eggs to still be fresh up into your 50s. Our grandparents were having very healthy children up into their 50s. So if she is in a healthy enough position to be able to have a child with a husband that she thinks is able to support her, well, then I support her too.
Quick question for you, because you're making you're making the case about her judgment. So the failed marriage aside, the getting into a relationship with Jonathan Majors at the time when he freshly was coming off of a case where supposedly it was domestic violence with a white woman from whom he was running out of the car with. What about her choices so far in dating tells you she makes good judgment, is my question for you, Lasana.
I'm not talking about my looking at her and her choices. I'm talking about her and how she feels in her decision making.
Right.
So she clearly feels good about where she is right now. I'm not here to judge her in her decisions. She's in her life. And in her life, she feels comfortable where she is.
Okay, you're making the case that I'm not saying this, but okay, it sounded like you were saying that she makes good judgments. It was like, no.
I didn't say
No, it
she
doesn't
makes
like she
good
makes good
judgments.
judgments.
But I'm not saying she doesn't either, because again, I told you
She was in a
initially,
marriage.
she's my fellow Leo.
You were making the case that she didn't want to. She, first of all, got married to somebody, right? Was in a marriage for 10 years. And so somehow there must have been something about the relationship that wasn't right, that didn't allow her to feel comfortable. It couldn't have been that she's just a selfish person. It couldn't have been that she was immature at the time. It could have been that she was more focused on her career, but she still said, I do, in front of God and her family. But no, that's what I'm pushing back on, right? Because she made a choice, a decision to walk down the aisle with a guy who clearly was who he was. He didn't pretend to be one thing, it was not something else. So we're not going to make up that he was being abusive or none of that shit, right? That didn't work out. And then she got into a relationship with Jonathan Majors at a time where he literally was being seen running down Broadway, speaking of New York, because he was with a white girl.
Away from the white woman.
Huh?
Away from her. Let's just put that out
Correct.
there. She was running away from her.
So you think it's smart for a black woman, right, who's talking about having kids for the first time in her 40s to do so with a nigga whose track record has been he's only dated white girls? You think that's a smart move or no?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, Jay. I'm sorry. please.
Okay.
Go ahead, please.
I'm going to tell you why.
Yeah, please.
Tell you why. What Megan is proving is not that you can have it all, but you can have a lot. You just can't have everything at the same time or without, here's your answer, Nick, trade-offs, okay? Trade-offs. Remember I was talking about trade-offs earlier. Megan said, just like the lady, I can't find no good black men. Megan said, listen, I want a tall black man, muscle built, with a good career. Okay, she had to accept that he might be on some domestic violence charges. He might have some bad PR. It's a trade-off.
Which was affecting his career. Okay? Which was affecting his career. He got the good career shit. His career was in the toilet.
It wasn't a toilet at the time, yes.
He had Lovecraft Country. It was still good.
No, it was not, Jay. It was a rappy rap. He was supposed to be in the Marvel movie, right?
Yes,
he was supposed to be whatever. They dropped his ass.
Okay, he had potential. Because she still want to make movies with him. So clearly she saw he had potential, right? And she made the trade-off, okay? From an economic standpoint, as an economics major, okay, I can tell you guys, every decision carries an opportunity cost. All right? So whether you're choosing your career, the timing, relationships, any stage, it means something else is going to be delayed, something else is going to be reduced, something else is going to be put on the back burner or just given up on. So success, Megan has proven, gives you more options. Like IVF, financial stability, the flexibility to hire a nanny or a nanny, but it doesn't remove the biological timeline, which is what Nick was talking about, or that trade-off. But that's still a trade-off and just one of the trade-offs that comes with it. So when people say you can't have it all, that's true. But only if you're trying to have it all at one time, if you don't understand that timing and sequencing matter. Okay, I'm gonna get my teacher back for a second. I'm gonna wrap it up. Okay, it's like math, right? You can add or you can multiply in any order and the answer will be the same, okay? But you can't do that with subtraction or division, all right? Some things are flexible in life. Others require a certain order to get the outcome that you want, right? So if you get the order wrong, the result changes. You will get the wrong answer. It won't work out. To Megan, I'm happy for her and Jonathan. I wasn't hating on their relationship. You know what I'm saying? I see black love in the struggle coming on through. You know what I mean? That little thing when he broke up the fight, that was suspect. And you know, I'm not just here drinking the Kool-Aid. But, okay, I think it could be love. I'm wishing them the best. I think the principle here is you can delay decisions, right? But you can't delay consequences. You can only choose which ones you're going to accept. And that's that trade-off. The goal is not to avoid trade-offs by any means. You can't do it. But you got to choose your trade-offs wisely. And I think Megan's doing you guessed it, good job.
So actually, that's funny because I so I'm one of the people who was like, this looked fake as hell, right? I was the one who said this looked fake as hell for the beginning of the relationship because it was the timing. And I thought it was a PR stunt that, okay, well, let's get him with Megan Good, who has this particular image so we can clean up his image from XYZ. But we're past that now because they've got married, and they apparently have some time in, and now they're talking about kids. So if this was a PR stunt, this has been one of the longest PR stunt that has other type of ramifications eventually, particularly when a child is born of this particular relationship. So I'm going to stop saying it was perhaps a PR stunt. It may have started as a stunt and then it grew to something else. But I'm not in that relationship. This was just like how it just looked suspicious to me from the start. And then for her to talk about that she wants a child with her husband, that's appropriate. That's her husband. And we already see stats where women over 40 are having more children than teenagers or any other women at this time. So she just adding to that statistic that women over 40 are now having more kids or becoming pregnant for the first time now. And so I think that when we talk about motherhood, that she's just reclaiming her timeline. She probably did the trade-off where she was like, hey, I want my career first. And now that I got my career, okay, maybe this is time for me to go ahead and have the baby that I wanted because, you know, Jonathan already got one. So she was like, yo, I don't want him to be one and done. And I don't have one at least. So now she's looking at her legacy perhaps because she don't have anything outside of, I'm just going to say her marriage, not saying that's a good thing or a bad thing for me to say not anything, but she doesn't have that legacy besides her movies and so forth, which is also an accomplishment within themselves. And so there's benefits whether she had the kids early or if she had the kids late, right? There's benefits. So like having early motherhood, hey, her knees may not be jacked up and she can run around and chase the kids. Let me stop. I'm joking a little bit, but you know, late motherhood, she now has more emotional stability. She has the resources. She has the intention because she's saying, hey, I am thinking about having that child now. And just like was mentioned previously, we have where she's already envisioning what that would look like. You know, the child backpacked on her, you know, this little backpack, walking around, and she's producing a movie because Jonathan Majors needs a gig. But yeah, so I support it in all shape, way, and forms. I say kudos to her when it happens. I will say congratulations to both the parents. I think with all the medical advancements and so forth that 44 is not as old as people think. There was a case in India where the lady had her kid at 66. Now, true enough, she did have to have somebody sign as additional guardianship because they expressed concerns about her being 66 and not living to see the child to be 18. But the point is she had her baby at 66. So there are possibilities through medical advancement. I don't advise women to have children at 66. As a matter of fact, I don't even advise children to have kids after 50 because to me, you're being selfish because your kid don't want to, I don't know, I think you're putting your child in a dangerous situation where there's a possibility that they may have to deal with a life transition before they even get out of high school. And I'm just saying that I think it's a little bit selfish to have kids at a certain age, but 44, not so much. I think she's okay. The timelines, late motherhood is better for some people versus early. She's doing what she wanted to do. She got her career and now she's ready for the family. So rock on with the family.
Again, I would grant this is terrible advice. It's not, well, she's not even giving anybody advice. Let me back up. When women see this, when these high profile women, or Megan Good and Janet Jackson, this apex thing starts to happen where they figure, oh, okay, well, these high profile women with unlimited resources and not a 9-to-5, they're going to have their first kid at 45. Like, that's not going to work out for Keisha in middle management at some office building downtown. That's generally not going to, you know, it's going to be tougher. The resources that they have available in the time, in the health. I mean, look at Megan Good. She's in great shape. It's tougher. 50, definitely crossing the line. It's biology saying the earlier you do it, the more chances you'll have. And it's about the number of chances. You may get one, but evolutionary biology is saying do it earlier and you'll have more chances. What's happened now is we want to get the bag. We want to spend our 20s getting all of these degrees and all these accolades. And by the time you're 35 and you finally get out of school and you're like, okay, now I can have a kid. Okay, cool. But it limits that window and the difficulty goes up. And again, not me saying it, that's evolutionary biology, but she's not giving anybody any advice. I hope it works out for her. It's great. And I thought this relationship was as fake as Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce relationship, but they're hanging in there. So shout out to their 1-year anniversary. I'm here for it. Black love.
Listen, man, I don't want this point to be lost, right? Because if you make bad decisions and have a track record of making bad decisions, it is fair for people to question whether this is yet another bad decision, right? As making good aside, right? We want everybody to be happy, Black love, they're married, right? But is it possible though, right? Let's say, I'm gonna give you a different analogy. Whenever I've lost the most money in the market was after I lost. Because when I would have a bad, play or whatever, and I'd lose, I would go chasing the opportunity to find myself, to make myself whole, right? I guess, hey, we want to wish them the best, but I would just caution women to have clear eyes, right? And not let this be yet another mistake. I wasn't halfway joking when I was talking about how the relationship came about. If she was my homegirl and she told me she wanted to date the nigga that I saw running across the street from some white girl that he was dating, and I saw these track records of things, right? Like, that would be of concern to me. You know what I mean? So if she's just looking for a guy who's going to be a good father, great. You know what I'm saying? But kids do complicate relationships. And sometimes when you're getting to these relationships later on in life, you have to hurry because time is running out. Sometimes. Is that possible? That sometimes people are being influenced by this sense of urgency, right? We talked about Ashanti who got married back with Nelly who spun the block. And I was like, cool, I get it, sis, because guess what? Time is of the essence, right? You want to drop that baby. So cool. Hopefully she knows what kind of baby daddy he will be. Although I guess technically since they're married, he wouldn't be a baby daddy. But if I had to put my money on it, I don't see this relationship lasting. So hopefully for her, she gets what she wants out of it. But I think there's far too many women who are making bad decisions by prioritizing the wrong things. And then what happens is when they prioritize the right things, ends up being either the wrong person or the wrong time, right? For some reason, they can't seem to get all three of them connected. So we wish her nothing but the best. And y'all out there as well. But with that being said, wow, what a conversation, man. We were getting in there. I feel like we were some toxic, you know what I'm saying? We had some emotional ears, some woman-splaining and womanese, you know what I'm saying? But more importantly, we were joined by our good friend Lasana. Oh, I'm about to say Lasana. Is that? Nah, I'm confused.
It is Lasana.
I've known you for 30 years. And Lasana? Which one is it?
It's Lasana.
So listen, love. Yes, Miss Lasana. Yes. Okay. Blame it on S&M. We really appreciate you having on the show. What are your thoughts? Any last words before we get up out of here? How did you feel about being on today's episode?
First of all, thank you so much for having me on this show again. It's been a blast, and I hope I can get to come back and hang out with you guys another day. And I just want to give a shout out to the city of North Miami Beach, who has recognized me as one of the women who moved the city.
Hey, raise the roof.
So this recognition, it highlights local influencers, storytellers, and marketing mavens who shape culture, uplifting communities, and inspiring the next generation of leaders. And so that will be happening on March 30th at the Yes Center in North Miami Beach. And I just want to say thank you for that recognition. And if you're in the area, come celebrate with me.
Yes. And where can people find you real quick on the socials and stuff?
I'm at Lasana online. So just as Nic said earlier, anywhere you look, just look for Lasana online and you'll find me.
It means she's online, y'all. So tap in.
I'm online.
You know what I'm saying? I appreciate you, boo. S&M, any final words? We're going to keep it ladies first. Ladies first.
Okay, I love it. I love it. So first of all, congratulations. I'm super excited for you. And I look forward to seeing all the influencer, i.e. the photos and whatnot on IG, because I have just followed you. So I love it. And with that being said, I just want to point out that we seem to talk about Black women a lot and illusions or delusions in some cases as it pertains to Black women. But I really think that we should take the time to unpack some of these narratives, these harmful narratives that we've internalized to our detriment. So I just want to go on record and say, yo, y'all should check out my book, Black Women Need Love Too, a book about relationships, self-love, and community. So we can start unpacking some of these harmful narratives, such as a strong, independent Black woman. But it ain't just for Black women, because we also have conversations pertaining to Black men, such as the broke Black man as well, you know. So check out the book, Black Women Need Love Too, a book about relationships, self-love, and community, available everywhere.
Yes, talk to him. Jay, speaking of talking to him, what's up with Goodwoods? What you got for us before we get up out of here?
What's up, man? As I enjoy this Goodwoods and this cigar, and I reflect on the episode, I think about what we talked about, right? And what we talked about tonight isn't confusion. It sounded like a lot of confusion, but I think it was mostly about misalignment, whether it's dating, marriage, timing, accountability, all of that. People know what they want. The issue is their choices. We're not making the choices to get what we really, really want. Maybe we're not serious about what we want. And when our choices and expectations ain't measuring up, then we get repetition. We get bad patterns. So I'm going to close out like this. It's just Jay, your problematic problem child. And my point is, patterns don't lie, y'all. Life don't happen by accident. It happens by choice. That's all.
Yes, sir. Thank you for that, good brother. Okay, Delvin, any final words before we get up out of here?
Man, listen, had a great episode, great energy, great conversations. The overall thing is, people, there are no perfect choices. There are just trade-offs. And there's no game where you make no trade-offs. And you just have to accept that as a feature of life and not the bug. And you will be a much happier person. And just make the trade-offs you can live. And you'll be good. That's what I do. I do it every day. And I'm happy. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be back next week. It's all good. Be good.
Yes, sir. You should have gave him a little peace out with a little kiss at the end. I feel like that's where you was going with it, right? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But listen, I don't know if this has anything to do with today's episode, but like I had a herniated disc, right, last week, which really messed up my spine. I was in a lot of pain. At the same time, I'm also writing a book. And the reason why this all goes together is because Jay mentioned the word that brings us all together, which is alignment, right? Like when my herniated disc was out, I was out of a lot of alignment. Like I was having pain shooting everywhere. And I feel like so many of us are out of alignment. We don't be knowing why. I mean, in this particular case, I knew what the problem was. But a lot of y'all blaming one thing and the feeling, y'all just misaligned. We are better aligned together. I mean, God created us literally. You have a part that literally, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I just feel like right now as the Black community, we're out of alignment like a motherfucker, okay? And we need to do something to bring us back into alignment. The last thing I was gonna say though too is we gotta ring the alarm. Because it took me 2 weeks to get into seeing a physical therapist. I don't know if y'all been called a doctor lately, but like it takes you about a month to get to see a specialist, right? Is that just me? I mean, I'm just asking, is it just me? I mean, I feel like
it's taking a minute.
It takes a month.
Yeah, about a month.
like, yo, like, I mean, I don't want to ring the alarms for the end of the show, but the point is, y'all, let's pay attention. There's some fucked up shit going on out here, and it'll continue to go on if we're not aware of it, if we don't stay vigilant and act the fuck up, okay? But on behalf of myself, SNM Jones, Just Jay, Lasana, and Delvin The Expert, and all you guys out there, don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, and all that good stuff. And as you see, we got the merch, y'all. Go out there and cop you some. We'll see you guys next time. Same place, same time. Until then, be easy. Peace.